All right, we want to talk about how to avoid flyaways. You don't want to lose your drone, and one of the things that you can run into is interference that will affect how your drone flies. One of the things that you don't want to do with your drone is fly near anything that has a lot of power or signal going out, like a cell tower or a giant power line or a power tower, or any of these things that have the ability that they might be sending out a signal that would interfere.
Like, you know, I know it's hard to think about, but like a radio tower, things that send out radio frequencies can certainly interfere with your Mavic Pro.
Another way to keep from avoiding flyaways is to always fly, and this is actually a law, fly within a line of sight. You don't let your drone get out of sight. You always have to have visual contact with your drone, because if it gets far away, you don't know what's happening. You don't know if you're flying over people. Once it's out of sight, it's out of mind.
And you shouldn't be asking yourself at any point, where is it? You should know where it is. You should be able to see it at all times.
All right, another way to make sure that you don't, like your drone doesn't land 2.5 miles from you, is to don't fly with less than 30% battery. If you see your battery get to 30% or below, you need to turn around and fly back. Because if your drone runs out of juice far from you, it's where it's going to land. It could land, if you're flying over a lake, that's where it's going to land. If you're flying over the open mouth of an alligator, that's where it's going to land. Don't fly with less than 30%
And by
battery.
land, if it runs out of battery, we mean crash. It's like, if there's no more juice,
landing,
the propellers will stop, it will come down, it will not be pretty.
it will be a crash. All right, also, this is just a general tip, is learn how to fly without the monitor. That way, if somehow you lost signal to your app, you can still bring the copter back home safely. So it wouldn't hurt once you get comfortable with your copter to practice without it, and that way you can just bring it back without having that, and you'll feel much more comfortable about what you've got to do. The next segment, we're going to give you a pre-flight checklist. We're going to give it to you verbally, but it's also part of the class here as a PDF, so you can go to the download tab here on the class, download our pre-flight checklist, and keep it with you. Now, by the way, there are also apps, including free apps, that have a pre-flight checklist in them. Doesn't really matter whether you use one of those or you use one of ours. As long as you have a list of things that you need to do before you launch, it'll help you. We're going to cover that in the next section.